guys, I'm Dan.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Bob.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Today we're reviewing Path of Civilization, A Story of Humankind. This game is for 1 to 5 players and says 20 minutes per player. This is a civilization building game where players will be taking on different techs and upgrading their boards. It plays a little solitary, but that's okay. We're actually going to throw it to Bob to explain the game.
Like Dan was saying, it does play a little solitary. If you're looking for a civilization game where there's like one central map and you're building up huge armies and you're attacking things, this isn't the type of civilization game for you. But you will be taking your civilization and building it through these different ages, learning new techs, and then facing these different challenges through 9 different rounds. The game rounds are set up very easily at the bottom with iconography that tells you what to do in what phase. And I'm going to go through each of those real quick after I go over all of the different boards that we have out there. So first of all, we have all the different techs. So as we learn the different techs, we have the stages 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you'll be paying the resources, which we'll get into, to purchase those techs. Anytime you purchase a tech, you're going to be getting the instant bonuses that are labeled on the inside of those. There are these other area here with these little square pieces where you'll be adding your cubes to either purchase wonders, to purchase leaders. There is a philosophy board over here where you'll be adding cubes to advance on the philosophy track. And then there's these yellow and the red ones that you have up here that you'll be adding cubes to deal with the different events that are happening as you progress through the different turns. During the first 2 turns, there won't be anything going on, but then, as you can see, in turns 3 and 4, and so on and so forth, there'll be a yellow thing, which is more of like a community goal, and then there'll be a red one, which is a combat one. So on your turn, during the first phase, everybody's going to have usually 5 techs. There are a few instances where you'll gain extra ones, but you're always going to choose 4 techs to keep, and then you're going to bury one of those techs. And so as you choose them, you'll place them in the slots that it shows, however you like, and then you're going to bury one. And that is going to be the first phase. It's pretty simple. And then the next phase is going to be the B phase, and that's where you're going to be adding cubes. So anywhere you see on your player board where there is a B, you're going to be taking cubes out of your supply and then adding them to the appropriate spots. Something to keep in mind is there's a little icon on there that says you can't place more cubes out there than what your current population is at, which is across the top of the board at the top, and it tells you how many people you have in your civilization, which is how many times you can put cubes
Starts
out.
at 4.
Starts at 4, and it grows from there. After you've done putting out the cubes, you'll then go to the C phase, where first of all, you look at your philosophy. And if you have enough cubes in the philosophy box, you have to advance. So since it takes 2 cubes there on the board, I will remove 2 cubes from the spot. My player will advance. And then we're going to reveal those 2 bonus tiles. And then I will get to choose one of those that will become the bonus that everybody will then get when they advance to that location. I will just choose one randomly, and that will be flipped back over. And then now you will see the little circle. I forgot what that one is called. Ceramics, I believe it is. But you'll get to move that up 1 spot, and we'll go more over the text in a little bit. After you're done with the philosophy, you're going to move on to the wonders. If you have enough cubes in the wonder slot, you can then pay the amount of cubes that it has on top, and you can gain that wonder and then add it to your civilization. Some of them will have instant bonuses depicted with a lightning bolt that will happen right away. Anytime you see a square, it's denoting a cube. Anytime you see a circle, it's denoting these little cylinders, which is going to be your tech levels that you will then get to spend to buy techs later.
Right, so a red circle gives you 1 military resource, where a red square would give you 1 red military force in that zone.
Yep. Then after that, you have the option to buy a leader. So in the first round, there are no leaders available. But if you look at the first card that they have there, it does have a nice breakdown of when you add wonders and when you add leaders and in what phase, what quantity, and of what tier. So that's super handy, and that changes depending on the player count, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5. Once you're done with the leaders, and the leaders or wonders are optional, whereas the philosophy is mandatory. If you have that, you must move. The other 2, optional. After you're finished with that, you're going to move to the D phase, which during the D phase, anywhere where you see the D, you will be activating, there'll be the techs and gaining technologies on your technology board. So currently I have 1 blue tech, worship, and I have 1 of those green ones I still can't remember the name of, that's okay. And we'll be advancing those. And again, like the cubes, you cannot advance your cylinders further than you have population. Now you can gain and keep those, you just cannot gain more in that current round. So even though I might have a limit of 5 population, if I don't spend it round after round after round, I can get it all the way up to 10, that's fine, but I could never gain more than 5 in one round, and that's total. So say I was going to gain 6 and my population is 5, I would choose which 5 I'd like to gain and then gain those 5. After you're done collecting your tech points, you must buy a tech, and that's denoted in the E phase. So you'll choose which tech you would like to buy. You would subtract the appropriate cost, and the costs are noted by the circles on the cards. So I would spend one of the greens, which is this one right here, Tyranny. When I get my green card, I get the instant bonus that is listed on the inside of the tray, which I love these trays, by the way. I gain my population, and that's going to go right here where it says E. And that's going to hold that card until I'm ready to use it again. Move on to the F phase. And the nice thing is the play is simultaneous, so everybody's doing all these phases at the same time, so it really cuts down on the play time. And then the F phase is when we're going to be dealing with whichever round we are in. And as I said earlier, in the first 2 rounds, there's no conflict or civilization challenge that you're facing, so there won't be anything to do during those first 2 rounds. Once that happens, the turn marker will advance to the next turn. Any cards that you have staged there, like leaders and wonders and things like that, will then be put out. You're going to take the new tech you just got, plus the 4 techs that you have left over, and you're going to rinse, repeat, and start with A, and choose 1 card to put out here, or 4 cards, and you're going to bury 1. You're just going to go through that again, and you're going to do that 9 times, and so you will be alternating then between the community challenges and the battles, and then at the very end you'll do 9 A and B, which is you'll do both in the same round in the final round, and that's the hard and fast of how you play.
Yeah, let's explain battles and the Civ thing just really quick once, just so they can see that.
So doing the Civ one first, let's just pretend I had a couple cubes in here because I've been working on that. I would take this Civil card, and there's a whole bunch of these, and so you randomly, like here's a whole stack, and you'll pick one, you randomly stick them in there and line them all up. There's one for each round, and so it's got a weird little algebra iconography thing going on here, and there is a book that has a breakdown. It's really good. It's really handy. All the cards are broken down. They explain what they do super easily if you don't understand what they do, which I don't quite know. This one is an ongoing because it has an infinity thing, and it looks like all tier 2 techs of the industrial type are going to be 1 less for everybody moving forward.
Because the -1 is in a circle, that tells us it relates to the resource cost over here.
Correct. And then underneath, it's going to tell you to add up all of your industrial icons. So that'll be on techs you have, leaders you have, wonders you may have built, things like that. You're going to add all of the resources that you've been adding to that community challenge, and you're going to gain with the lightning bolt victory points, which are those little tokens up there.
Laurels.
Laurels, there you go. And I think those are octagons. So yes, you'll be gaining all those for points, and then you're going to take that number that you got, divide it by 2, and you're going to gain that much tech. Because again, once it's a circle, you know it's referencing tech, and it's got the little orange science thing there, so I'd get to move up however many points was half of what I just gained. And that would be the first community challenge. And then typically what I do then is take this yellow box, put it in front of the next yellow card, so you know when you're working on that, you're adding cubes to deal with that.
Yep, there's 4 of them to deal with throughout the game.
Yep. And then to go over the military. So the way the military is going to work, as you are buying military cards and doing different types of things, you'll see these little explosions. Those are going to be your military strength. That is a base strength that you will earn throughout the game and keep from round to round to round, and that will advance your meeple up the military strength track. The barbarians are going to have a strength, so they'll have a strength of 3, which is on the card. And then as you add cubes to the military square, those cubes, which is denoted on the thing right there, is going to be worth, each one is worth 2 strength, but those are temporary. It's only for that current fight. So that's going to add 4 to my strength. So what you just take one of your cubes, add 4 to my current strength, please, Dan. Well, add 4.
Well, you were at 0.
Okay, well, people might go 0, please. That's where he stays. There you go.
Right, got it. He never slides up. Sorry,
the meeple,
I tend to slide them up because I'm dumb.
Yeah, the meeple stays where they're at. So as you're earning those points, the meeple will stay. But then you're going to take the cubes from there, you add them up, and then add the cube, and then you put the cube there for your temporary strength to do the calculation. Then once the combat is over, you can take the cubes off, but your meeples will always stay where they're at. So then we will compare our strength to the barbarian strength. Whoever's in first, so right now I am ahead, so I would get the first place reward. The barbarian is in second place, so they would have that. And Dan doesn't even have a guy on the board, so he's not going to get anything. But there's no real penalty. That's one of the nice things about this, is that even if you were in last place, there's not really a big penalty, except for you get a lesser reward.
I was going to say, sometimes, you even get a reward when you're in last place, which is nice.
Yeah, which is nice. So you don't have to spend a whole lot into the military if you don't really want to.
And then you guys probably can't see it because it's too small, but those two rewards that he gets are both squares, so he is putting cubes out basically as rewards to feeding the other boards, which is nice. But
yeah, and that's one of the things I really enjoy about this is that the iconography is very the same throughout. When you see a square, you're talking about putting cubes somewhere. When you see a circle, you're talking about text, and it makes it really flow and make sense in my mind.
Yeah.
There's also 4 military actions that you have to resolve by the end of the game. So you got 4 of those community scoring cards and then 4 of those military cards. Correct. In the last round, in round 9, you resolve both. So you've got a yellow and a military that both resolve at the end of the final round.
Correct.
Right. So that is a basic breakdown on how to play. We'll go slightly more into things we like and don't like in our next section, which is going to be an open discussion, and then we will rate the game out of 10. But for now, let's jump into an open discussion. Mike, time to talk, bro.
Yeah. No, it's a really good game. You know, this is one of those more, I guess I would call it an abstracted Civ game, because I'm not doing any dude on the map movement for my military or any area majority, but that doesn't take away from how good this game is. I'm just trying to set a realistic expectation. I like how snappy the turns are. We're all working at the same time, and really, this multi-use card system is where this game shines. I love this mechanic because obviously you can see you're starting with cards that aren't giving you any cubes. Right out of the gate, your level 1s are giving you cubes, but once you start buying these level 10s and you can place 4 cubes or get 5 techs out of 1 turn, now you've got some really interesting decisions on which cards you're going to use to maximize your abilities each turn. You know, hey, do I have enough cubes to buy the leader I want this round? Do I have a high enough tech to buy that level 10 card this round? And then deciding which side of these cards am I going to use each round. This, to me, this action, I don't want to call it action selection, but that action card mechanic, I think is fascinating. This is really where the game shines, but it plays a lot easier than it looks. Like it looks like, I mean, busy. Just this here is very, very busy, but once you understand the iconography, it is a breeze to play. I mean, getting through 9 phases, each phase goes pretty quick. Like each round really goes pretty quick, and I think that simultaneous play really helps with that. The iconography is very strong. It's really fun to play. I don't have like any huge complaints about this game. It's not terribly thematic, but most abstracted Civ games aren't that thematic unless you've actually got dudes on a map. You don't. This is card driven, but that doesn't take away from how fulfilling the turns can be when you maximize this card engine here.
So yeah, say engine building kind of.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree on one thing slightly, and it's only because of how I tend to think of things, and I'm going to relate it to Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep gets hated on for its theme quite a bit. People talk about how pasted on the D&D theme is. You're just pushing cubes around. There is an expansion you can get that turns the cubes into meeples that look like wizards and assassin stuff, but the base game is cubes. And my argument for that game has always been that is the most thematic thing possible. You are a Lord of Waterdeep. The people are cubes to you. They are not assassins. There are people you are pushing around to do your will. And people seem to think that a game like this is a unthematic civilization game, and I very strongly think this is a much more thematic civilization game than one where you're putting a bunch of guys on a map. If you are starting a civilization, if you are Caesar and you are starting a civilization, you're building up a world, you are not looking at the dudes on the map. You are not looking at all this stuff. You are sitting in a room saying, you work on that tech. You go over there and lead the military thing. You do this. You are a guy in an office pushing cubes, putting them in where you want them to be, and you have generals and stuff that are doing that stuff. Now, again, that is a generalized, simplified version, but when I look at a game like this is a thematic civilization game to me. I loved this game so much. My favorite Civ game has been Korra. for a long time, and I think this one beats it. And they're similar. They are
Pseudo abstract almost.
yeah, pseudo abstract and also pseudo solitaire. There's not a lot of interaction with each other. It's just kind of what you're kind of fighting over and stuff like that, really. The thing that this game I thought did really well when compared to Korra, and I should say I only have one playthrough and one video watched on YouTube of a playthrough. So I have less than them into this game. But the thing that goes to me is this game has a lot of player interaction in terms of moving stuff around, setting stuff up during the gameplay. It almost fakes player interaction because I have to go, hey Bob, could you put these cubes over there? What is that card? Thanks, Bob. You need me to move your military guy up over here. You're constantly helping each other move stuff around because it's such a table hog and there's so much going on that I really liked it in this game. It really felt like we were like not cooperating, but
sort of working together,
playing a game together.
Yeah.
You know, like we are helping each other do things and reading things to each other and handing things to each other. And so it makes a game that is almost purely solitaire not feel it, which is a big negative to me in games, is when I don't want to play a game with 6 people where I never look or talk to the other 5 people. That's not what I play games for. And this game, I'm constantly looking to the other players and talking to them about what's going on, what changed, hey, what phase are you in, so that I can know what I need to be doing right now, you know, that kind of thing. I really thought that came over really well. Now, again, just to finish the whole thematic thing, that is purely a way that I tend to look at games like this. That is the theme I want to come out. And also, I think the market is oversaturated with civilization games that are just war games. They're not civilization games. I want a civ game to really focus on farming, to focus on politics. Those are civilization building. Yes, you need a military. You need to be like, you know, showing, you know, the size of your army to the other people and stuff. But that doesn't always involve fighting. It can just be like, hey, Bob, don't come over here. I have 30 guys. Yeah, I'm not going to go over there. We don't need to fight to prove it's a civilization building game. And so they tend to be a little annoying to me with how much they focus on fighting. And I feel like civ games that focus purely on fighting are kind of a cop-out because they didn't know how to actually design a civ game. So they're like, yeah, here's some like stuff, you roll a die and you get 1 wheat, but also just fight each other. That's not super fun or thematic to me. This was incredibly fun. I loved this game, and this is probably my #1 civilization game right now. I want to play it again so bad. I loved it. I loved the card system, like Mike said. That decision is so important. And then also knowing what your actual population is to know, I'm about to make 8 goods this round, but my population's only 6. I can't make 2 of those goods. Very interesting choices going on. The board here, like, yeah, they were talking about looks confusing, but it's literally, okay, I have a lot of blue. I want this blue card. I spend 4, I take the card, and I get that reward. That's all it is. And once you get used to that, it is not that bad. I really liked some of the theme here with going on the military route versus the barbarians. Is that what they are? Sorry.
Yeah.
And then, you know, building up this thing that I will never remember the name of. I just call it the yellow thing. But building this up, and that kind of affects your like basic economy and stuff as you're going into here. And then slowly unlocking these icons as you're moving up the religion track, which, by the way, it shows you what all the options are down here. Very nice.
Possible bonuses.
Yeah, but so moving up these and really getting ahead because of your prayers. It's just a lot of incredibly well implemented mechanisms into a civilization game that mesh together for a fantastic experience. I loved it. Go ahead, Bob.
I was just going to real quickly to prove that point. You're a few turns into the game. Well, you're several turns into the game if you got these cards.
Sure.
But if I just want to show you how quickly this escalates. When you have these cards on your player boards, the decisions become so much more interesting when you've got all these available options to you. So just
right, and the cards instantly, like he said, on round 1, you're buying an upgrade. Yeah. So like they are instantly changing into these cards that are drastically better.
Yep.
And the game inherently then slowly filters out your opening hand because your opening hand honestly isn't terrible. It gets your engine started, it's fine. But you start getting these other cards, you're like, oh, why would I keep that? Why would I keep that? I actually did see Mike hold onto a starter card for the first like 2 rounds because it had the good he needed.
Had a resource
on it. And that's good to see, but it's also good to see that they do filter themselves out in a natural feeling way. It's not forced. It's not, you know, you start with this hand, and then immediately that hand is useless. No, they filter themselves out slowly. On round 3, you might have 3 upgrades there. That means you might still have 1 or 2 of those starter cards hanging out, and they're still doing their job, just not as effectively. So I do like that. Yeah. Good call, Mike.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this game. I did get a little bit of a preview at Gen Con of it, and this whole way that I love a good tech tree typically, but the way that these techs are done, and you have to buy 1 tech each turn, and you add it at the top of your board. And at the beginning of the round, you're taking these 5 cards, and you're just deciding: do I want the techs from that? Do I want the cubes from that? What am I trying to build? That felt so good. I really enjoy that decision you're making. And then even when you bury an upgraded tech, it's worth victory points at the end of the game still. Plus, you didn't forget all of that science. You still had that science tag. So when it talks about a card saying, hey, reference all the science tags you have, that's going to count still, because your civilization still did all of that. And that, as it passes through the different ages and turns, it's so fulfilling. It comes with these trays. You got to put the stickers on. That's not a big deal. But these trays are fantastic. They all nestle inside of each other. And then there's a plastic lid that goes on there, and it all goes in the box. Oh my gosh. You just take the lid off, boom, 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 boom. Techs are done.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's really so nice. Smart. Great design on that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, the only thing on the table that wasn't base game is these plastic holders, right? That Bob put his components in. Because they probably are in plastic bags.
Yep.
Right?
And the plastic bags are fine, but I'm me. So, and it's a great game with great components and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put the player bits, it holds their starting text plus all the colored cubes in there. What color do you want? Boom, there it is. It's super nice. And there's for the solo mode, there's a whole separate board. I haven't had a chance to play it solo yet, but there's a whole other board and some cards that go with that, so you can try that solo. And like I said, as you're playing this game and just looking at the iconography, it just makes so much sense. It's super clear on what's what. The squares are referencing cubes. The circles are referencing your techs. The player colors they chose, thank you. There's no red, green, what's what. They use a plain wood, a white, a black, and then a couple of super easy to tell them all apart. There's no question for people who have problems with colors. So right on with that. Like I said, I really appreciate that, being a colorblind person. And yeah, I do enjoy a dudes on a map Civilization type game. I played the Civ Myers Civilization game, even though it's squares and hexes are the best. Hexagons are the best.
Hexagons are the best.
But this is fantastic. It's probably going to be one of my favorite Civilization games too. And the fact that, like I said, everything is simultaneous. And one of the great things about simultaneous is, okay, we're on the build wonders. I want to build this wonder. And Dan's like, well, I want to build that wonder too. Well, crap, how do you decide that? Because it's simultaneous play. At the top of your player board, there's all this iconography, and you look at that priority. Yep. And so that is an industrial one. My industrial is on slate of 4.
I win. Yep. So sorry, Bob, I guess you used those cubes for no reason, right?
Yeah, well, no.
Oh, wait.
I can reassign those cubes somewhere else. And if
Incredible.
And if I don't want something else, I put it back into the thing, and I can wait and build something else later. And Dan would then get that wonder. So that's a fantastic way to handle ties and priority breaking without having to be wait, who has the first player marker? No, none of that. And it's ingenious. I love it.
Yep, I'm really glad. I was waiting till you were done talking. I was going to bring up that because we hadn't mentioned the turn, not the turn order, but the tiebreaker thing. Mm-hmm. And then also we just haven't shown off a leader, so I'll just show off a leader really quick. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see it.
I was going to find one that's got there we go. So he see how you can see how this leader here. He has nothing to add cube wise, but in the D phase, he's going to add it while he's alive. That's what the heart means. And then he has a military strength, so I'll get to add a military. And then he's got an arrow, and the arrow just means you can pick anyone you want and go up it. But then when he dies, he goes down below into the graveyard. He still counts for the 8 points at the end. Thank you. And then he still has the military symbol on there. So when you face a challenge that says how many military symbols do you have, he still counts because he was part of your civilization.
Yep. And basically, just when you get another leader, they just replace the other one. The other one dies and goes down there. And there are leaders that have grave abilities, so they give you powers while they're dead or after they're dead.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I am scared to say all because I haven't looked at them, but most of the leaders are just real famous leaders, right? That you have heard of. I'm sure they're all real people.
They are.
But I don't know, like some are probably more famous than others.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying. But and all their abilities from the ones that I've seen are all very thematic and
makes sense.
And I also haven't seen a useless leader yet, specific and niche maybe. But I have not seen one that's just why would I ever take that guy?
Right.
So that's nice. But yeah, I wanted to show off a leader really quick as well. But anything else to add before we go into our scores?
Yeah. So one component I don't like is these card holders.
They could be a little wider.
What I would suggest is doing like what Nidavellir came with which was a plastic card holder that holds like 5-6 cards.
Just all in one line.
Just one line for all of them. Now, the only thing is, I don't think the box would support one. You'd probably have to do two of them.
Yeah.
I would find that a much better solution than the wooden things that move way too easily.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I didn't like that. And then, like, if you bump them, they're just flying out.
They spin a little bit.
But you need them up at an angle so everybody can see them and knows what's coming up. So I like the idea, not the execution.
Sure. That's probably the weakest component.
I also wonder, do you think anybody could win if they ignored the philosophy board?
I think so.
That is 21 points at the end of the game.
Yeah, if you get all the way up to the top.
And I just don't.
You mean if they've never put any cubes in?
Just ignore it. Because I can see a win in this game if you ignore military. Because if you go heavy into the yellow, you can almost ignore the military.
Sure.
I don't know if you can just ignore the philosophy.
Well, the thing being with that is even almost by accident, as you take some text, you're going to get cubes in there.
Yeah.
So
it just kind of happens.
Yeah. Because as you're worshiping, you're progressing, And or really, as you get military, well, that's our religion.
And really, the biggest thing that you're trying to build up towards is getting these monuments that are going to score based on the engine that you've been building during that game.
Yeah, the tier 3 ones.
Yeah, getting up to those tier 3s, and you find points. Ones that synergize with whatever you've been working on. That's kind of been sort of the fun in-game build for me, is finding those monuments. But that's my only gripe on the components, is I don't love the card stands. But again, it's a great idea.
Right.
Yeah, you would just lose the color element if you went to the thing, which doesn't super matter if you know how to set up.
I think you could maybe just put
colors or a sticker.
A sticker on the card holder, or
I meant on yours from like Nidavellir or something is what I meant. You'd have to do something.
Gotcha.
That's what I meant. Now, if they came with the game, they could be
if
colors.
they came with the game, they could just put the 3 in yellow, for example, on the actual card holder. Just minute stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm sure we will go into slightly more depth anyway, because we always do when we give them, but let's go into our scores. Mike, how do we score?
We will each give the game a score from 1 to 10. We're going to average those together, and that average is our rundown score. That's what we share on social media or BGG.
Okay, I'm going to get us started to allow you guys to talk. You know the game a bit more than me and everything. And I'm also not I love Civ games, but I'm also very harsh on them when I play them. Like I said, I love Korra, I loved this, and I love Tapestry, even though that should never be marketed as a Civ game. But I loved this game. I think that all the mechanics mix together super well. Everything I said previously. I want to play it again right now, and I am going to, after one play, my initial reaction is this is a 9 out of 10 game. I loved this game.
Nice.
Okay. So I agree that this is one that, after you play it, you're like, okay, I want to play this again. And it's quick enough to do that. And it sets up fast enough that you can play this multiple times. This is not like an event game that you're only going to play once a year. This could hit the table a lot.
Which a lot of Civ games unfortunately fall into.
And unfortunately, I wanted to make a comparison to a recent abstracted Civ game that we all reviewed and enjoyed, and that was Mosaic. Mosaic is a good game, but after repeated plays, the setup actively prevents me from wanting to table it. It is unfortunately one of the most tedious setups in a game I've seen recently. And as a result, we haven't played it in a while. I would love to keep playing this game. So I just, like, gameplay-wise, I'm struggling to find anything I don't like about this game. So that's why it's an 8.5 for me.
Nice. Like I was saying, I love this game. I love the components. Dual layer player board. I enjoy that. These little guys are dual layer, which is super nice. The tech, oh my gosh, these tech trays are just fantastic. Yeah. And one of the big things that I think that for inserts, a lot of companies forget or don't think about, or whatever reason, they don't include something to go on top to keep the cards in there. So when you stand something up, those cards are everywhere. Even a little jiggle like this, it might be in the well to begin with, the cards end up going everywhere. But when you put a little plastic bit on top of that to hold everything down in place, it's so smart. Like they feel like I feel like they thought about so many things. The little slip with that, I agree. It could have been a wider piece of wood. Maybe it'll cost a little bit more, but it would hold a card a little bit better. Or maybe put two of them together, like half red, half white, or yellow. I'm not sure what the fix for that would have been exactly, but I love this game. I want to play it more and more. I want to see more of like the cards come out and see what they all do. It's a 9 for me as well. Like I love it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Even just the finger notches,
notches
on the side of these.
Yeah.
It's
really
so easy.
Just
Smart.
like, oop, there it is.
Really
How
smart.
easy is that?
Yeah.
Well,
Fantastic.
all together, guys. Unfortunately, because Mike hates this game, it drops all the way down to an 8.8. That is,
Wow.
That's still pretty good.
I can't believe it. No,
Yeah.
incredible score.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you guys all felt like,
Yeah.
I knew going into this review I was going to give it a 9, which was kind of crazy, but I genuinely loved it. It's my #1 Civ game, and I was wondering, I knew you guys all liked it, for sure. I wasn't sure how high you guys would go, and I'm so excited to hear that, because that means we might be able to get this game played pretty soon.
The fact that playtime is so short. I'd say so short, but an hour and a half, like 90 minutes with the teach. I think we were done.
How many plays do you have
Fantastic.
of this now?
4.
I got 2 already.
Yeah.
So
This
And
is
I've had it for a month, 2 months.
yeah. Not even
Not even 2 months because it was on our.
Not even a month.
This
Yeah.
is one of those games that when you compare it to other games in the same vein, we've talked about this before, and unfortunately my brain sucks, so I can't think of them right now. But when you talk about other games in the same type of system they're going for here, every negative that those other games have has been addressed by this. Oh, Wolves of Mercia is what I bring up all the time. For people who don't like werewolf games and don't like every problem that people have with those games, player elimination, play time, need a moderator, everything is fixed with Wolves of Mercia. If you don't like that kind of game, it's not going to do it. But if you have problems, it addresses them. Civ games, too long, too fiddly components, focus on military. It takes
Long
forever to
play
set
time.
up. Yeah, all these things are addressed in this game. Now, if you hate Civ games, I don't know if this will do it for you, but if you just have some nitpicks that you want addressed, so did these guys.
Yep.
So did these people. I love what they did here. So yeah, an 8.8 for Path of Civilization. I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to add.
I think if you're one of those people that is okay just ignoring theme and wants to play a game for its mechanics, there's a lot here for you. Because in my opinion, I don't find it that thematic, and I'm not even considering that a knock on the game because the mechanics are so strong. I think it's a home run no matter what.
Cool. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed our video of Path of Civilization. It was a home run for us. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. We have a Patreon down there if you want to support us in any other way. Not necessary, but, we just appreciate any kindness that you guys can show. If you guys have a friend that likes Civ games, show them this video. We want more people to play this one because, man, this is a good one. But, yeah. That's it for us this time from the Board Game Rundown. I've been Dan.
I've been Lozen.
Mike. You're Mike. I'm Bob.
You idiot.
Well, I'm normally second.
And we'll see you next time.
I got him.
And you can say the title's only 3 words.